it's just part of our life. We have a lot of friends and a lot of people that we love out there. So regardless if I'm involved or not, I'm going to be out there.
We do see, you and Lindsay after, kind of everything went down, you decide to leave, but you do ultimately, you're done with the cameras and everything like that, but you do decide to go back. Why was it so important for you to come back for that end of summer, party?
I mean, I love what we've done in the Hamptons. I've been there since day one. We started filming in 2016. I'd like to think I've given everything my all for this show, and really proud of being able to be a part of it and the group and what we've built. And, looking back, I think I maybe wish I would have come back sooner, just, taken like an hour break after my kind of I broke down. It was a difficult thing to kind of go through the proposal and planning and all those things. But yeah, I love the house. Like, I care about what we've done, and I didn't want to not give it another shot. And Lindsay, was incredibly supportive of me taking a little break, but she was like, we got to go back. Like, this is, let's try and show up and work through it, which I'm proud we did. But I know it disappointed some others, which, I feel bad about, because that ultimately wasn't my intention. It was, it was a difficult summer, dealing with real stuff. And quite frankly, if you look back from seasons 1 through 6, I've never shied away from the camera when I've dealt with my sexuality, my alcohol, my brother's passing. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of things head on and never retreated. And I think it's been a constant understanding of how to control my emotions and express my emotions. And I think, watching it back, I'm like, oh God, like I've even grown since last summer, and how I want to navigate, intense, difficult things, because it's not easy. But, I think what's beautiful about our show is we have an opportunity to reflect. You have an opportunity to kind of not reliving. It's not easy, but it's an opportunity to like grow from it. And I know that sounds cheesy, but I've grown from watching myself back. I mean, I don't know if the others have, but I certainly have. And that's not shade. I know that it's been for me. I watch it, I'm like, that's not how I want to operate, and you kind of take that in and you take it seriously, and you hopefully make changes.
What's been the most difficult thing for you to watch back this season?
I mean, you'll see at the reunion. I think we cover a couple things that were difficult. I'm really proud of, I think, ultimately how I was able to kind of speak up about certain things and offer some grace and understanding, and try to like come to a kind of a middle ground. I mean, there's a lot of history with the core group in the house, and I know that there was tension, but there is a lot of love there. And I think once we kind of work through some of the deep-rooted resentment from summers ago or misunderstandings, you'll see in the reunion kind of how we talk through it. But I after it was over, it went a lot better than I expected.
Well, that's
overall.
Good.
I mean, it was intense. It was emotional. There was a lot of back and forth, but I think for the core group, it went hopefully as well as it could have. But we'll see that in 2 weeks.
Well, I did watch the finale, and it is pretty intense between Danielle and Lindsay. What were your thoughts on that confrontation? And do you wish it was handled differently, or was that the only option that Lindsay felt like she had at that moment after everything that happened this past summer?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak for her. I know, when you have someone you have had a friendship for a while and things kind of went the way they did, it was difficult. I think, again, you'll see at the reunion how Danielle and Lindsay kind of talk through that. I talked about it with Gibson last week. Just, I never want to hurt anybody. And, I think it's unfortunate the way things played out, but, I hope that there's a path forward at some point. And I'm going to remember the good stuff about the engagement and the proposal, because it was about me and her. I know you can play it back 1,000 times and pick up things maybe you wish you did differently, but I did what I thought was best to keep it a surprise. There was a lot of cooks in the kitchen planning a proposal. I'd always hoped and dreamed of doing it in the Hamptons, and I thought, okay, let's try and maybe they can be there to film it too. Like, why would that would be awesome. We've been showing our lives, the good, the bad, the ugly, for all these years. So I was proud to be able to kind of incorporate it on a weekend where I thought, the house could be there. But it's never easy when you open it up to in general, your relationships. I mean, I've seen from Kyle and Amanda's relationship, always a lot of conversation about what's the good. Like, when you're in a good place, you're too perfect and you're fake. And when you're fighting, you should break up. It's no real middle ground, but I think that's just a function of the show sometimes.
Totally. I mean, it was a beautiful proposal. It really was. You did a great job.
Thank you.
But watching it back, do you understand anything from Danielle's perspective at all? Or do you still feel like maybe she kind of overreacted a little bit?
I mean, I think you'll see on the reunion how I kind of talk through that. I think, obviously she was very hurt and very emotional about it, which is, again, I'd never want to hurt someone, but to make it all about her in that moment was difficult to watch and relive. But, like I said, I think the reunion, we covered that a lot, and, I'm optimistic that there could be some moving forward, but you'll have to see. It was an intense reunion for sure, but, hindsight's always 20/20. I did in that moment what I thought was best to make it special for me and Lindsay and keep it a surprise. And, you can't win sometimes.
No. How are wedding plans going?
They're going great. It's been, since we got engaged last August, it's, we took a little trip to Europe, and then we didn't really get planning until about November. But the state of the industry is there's a lot of weddings going on. So figuring out where and when, but we did land on a place. We're going to be in Mexico in November. So we're still working out, finding, music and figuring out just some of the decor and some of the other nitty gritty. I'm looking at tuxedos. I'm looking at outfits. It's been planning. Lindsay's an amazing planner. She's thrown events left and right in her PR days. So she's done an amazing job. She's been a rock star, and I've been really trying to be the supportive fiance. But it's definitely, I've learned a lot just in certain things that you just don't think about as a guy.
No, and it'll be here before you know it. It really will. How has life been not working at Loverboy, and has that made your relationship with Kyle? Do you feel like it's been stronger and you guys are in a really good place now? Because it seemed like throughout the season, you guys got back to where you were. Yeah,
I mean, listen, I think when you work with your best friends and 3.5, almost 4 years working together, it's not easy, and I think it came to a point where I was also making lifestyle changes and adjusting where I was going personally, and it just was conflicting with, what felt true to me. And, I think, moving away from the business, I'm still an investor. I'm still so proud of what I've done there and how I went about things. It's unfortunate that, there was so much tension around it, but I think a lot of things, brings us closer. I think we can have a new kind of understanding. But since I've left, Kyle and I have gotten together several times. We were in Ireland for a wedding, and Kyle and Amanda were there, sat next to him at the wedding dinner. We had a good time. It was just nice to be away from New York City and away from, some of the camera and the tension. But it got back to kind of where the roots of it were. It was a lot of love. We had a lot of fun. It was emotional at times, but for the best. So yeah, I'm optimistic. I think the reunion, you'll see, kind of how Kyle and I talk through stuff. I love the guy. I care about the guy. But as you get older and things change, it can be challenging, and I'm proud that we were able to kind of continue to talk and communicate. But I think the reunion, you'll see how it all kind of plays out, which is, I think, for the better. So
the parts of the season that I really liked was coming into your home in New York City. And there has been talks maybe shifting Summer House into following you guys more in your daily lives. Would you be more open to that? And do you see a future of yourself at Summer House?
Absolutely. Maybe I'd love to think that there's more New York City stuff. I think back to early seasons of our show, and, it's about a group of friends that have full-time jobs and party on the weekends to kind of let loose and enjoy the fruits of their labor. And yeah, as things have evolved, I've always had a full-time job ever since we started. Yeah, you've heard about my getting fired and my quota and ups and downs, but I've always had a job. This is the first time actually in a long time that I've actually had a little bit of a break, but it's allowed me to go explore other things. But I do think our show, because New York City is our home, that seeing kind of the local stuff in our apartments and our get-togethers during the week is, I think, awesome. I loved our housewarming party just because it gives a different element to the show. But yeah, I mean, listen, we built this show, been here since the beginning. I feel like, I've grown some more. I'm feeling more confident just living the life I live, but also still being able to have a good time and enjoy my friends and enjoy the summers. Because regardless of being on Summer House, that's what we do in the summers. Like, that's what I was doing before it was a show. I'm getting texts right now actually asking if I'm coming out this weekend and what we're doing. And it's just part of our life. We have a lot of friends and a lot of people that we love out there. So regardless if I'm involved or not, I'm going to be out there. I'm just, I'm optimistic. We'll see. I think there's still a lot left on the bone to chew on, but we'll see how it all unfolds.
Definitely. I got to get your opinion on this one and your response to this. Ciara said recently, I don't know if you saw the headlines, that you were a closeted a-hole. What's your response to that?
I'm not going to dignify with a response. I wish her all the best. She can say whatever she wants to say, but I know who I am and what I stand for, and I wish her all the best. It doesn't bother me. I wish her all the best. That's all I can really say.
I was living for the photos of you guys out with Ariana, with Chyna. It seems like you guys had such a great time. How do you think Ariana has handled this whole Sandoval? And it seems like she's doing better than ever.
I mean, my hat's off to her. I've always really thought Ariana was just such a genuinely kind, sweet person. I think she's handled it and admirably. I think it's probably the best word, but the strength and the courage she's had to kind of deal with this so publicly. I can certainly relate to difficult things being so public, but this is on a totally different level. But she's such a genuine, nice, kind person. And I obviously felt very badly for her. And, I actually sent her a text, kind of shortly after things were all going down. But, last year in June, Lindsay and I were with them at the MTV Awards. Lindsay was nominated for Best Reality Star. She presented. Tom and Ariana were actually nominated for Best Couple.
Right.
So we hung out with them, and I really enjoyed hanging out with her. She was really sweet to us. And I had met her back in 2019. We had booths next to each other at BravoCon, and she was just such a nice, genuine, I keep saying that, but she's such a sweetheart, and hanging out with her this past week was awesome. We got to meet, Chyna and Blac. I mean, I've met them before, but we were all kind of hanging out and just had a nice dinner and a fun time. So she seems to be doing really well, all things considered. But the whole, the core group of Vanderpump and what they've dealt with, it's crazy. It's been absolutely crazy.
Did you watch the finale?
I did. Obviously the first 10 or 15 minutes was unlike a lot of TV I've ever watched. I mean, I know our show's certainly been intense at times, but the gravity of it all was like, just wow, like watching it all unfold. But, I wonder where they go from here. Actually, it's going to be interesting to see how they pick up the pieces and move forward, but I'm looking forward to seeing their reunion too.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. A lot of good reunions coming up. Did you reach out to Tom at all or no?
I haven't. I actually unfollowed him. Just, I don't condone cheating. I don't love the lying and kind of the way that even how he responded to some of it. Again, I don't want to beat on him while he's down, but I don't really want to partake in that. And I again wish him all the best in his journey in life, but we're team Ariana over here.
I think everybody is, right? I don't know if you could speak on it, but how is Luke doing? Because we know there's all those rumors going about him and Tayshia. Lindsay cropped them out of the photo. I mean, what are your thoughts on how is he doing?
Luke's great. I mean, I saw him this past week. I don't want to speak on his dating.
Right,
you can ask him where things are. But Luke, I've always want Luke to find someone special and be really happy. And he's got a lot of cool things going on too. He's working on. He's always Mr. Business. He's got 5 or 6 different things going on. His maple syrup, his beer. He's got jewelry. He's got movies. He's got modeling. He's remodeling his home in Minnesota. Like, he's got a lot of cool stuff going on. So I always love having Luke around. He's always going to be a friend regardless if he's on Summer House or not. But we hope he does find that special person so we can all do double dates together. But I don't know exactly where him and some of the the rumors stand. I mean, I just know he's happy and having fun. So
what do you think about Paige and Craig? Do you think that they are their forever person? Because, she had a lot of problems this season too about maybe wanting to take that next step.
The times I've seen them, they seem really cute together and like they are a good match. I think obviously the big elephant in the room, which was touched on, was the long distance. And that's not easy for anybody, but especially when, New York City's got a lot going on and he's got his life in Charleston. I don't know where the future will hold for them. I think that to make it work, they'll have to be in the same city. But again, I'm not here to judge. I fully support and want them happy. I think they're a great couple. But I do think at some point they're gonna have to figure out, where to live and where to be able to things get real when you live together and you move in. And, I think that's like kind of the next stage of their relationship. I wonder, what they'll do.
Yeah. Was it hard for you when you watched the finale, having everybody kind of listening in on Lindsay and Danielle's conversation? Because that was kind of, uneasy to watch as well, being like everybody eavesdropping in on the conversation and kind of taking Danielle's side as well.
I mean, that's been going on for a few years, let's be honest. Eavesdropping is kind of some of the things that go on in the summer house. It's, I guess, a part of the deal. But I don't want to speak too much. I think the reunion really will kind of address some of that stuff. It's a tough situation, but you have long-standing friendships and people feel like they're hurt, and sometimes it comes out that way. But yeah, I think the reunion will be good for the viewers to see kind of how things get talked through and, just addressing stuff. Because there's been a lot of time. I mean, we're almost into June now, and
I know,
we're talking about stuff that happened Labor Day. It's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. Did Rob ever apologize to you about how he?
I do talk about this at the reunion. Okay. But yeah, we have chatted. Again, I don't know the full details of Danielle's and Robert's breakup. I was sad to hear that, but I did chat with him a little bit, and we kind of cleared the air. And I have always really liked Robert, and can't really say anything bad about him. But again, I don't know what really occurred with him and Danielle. But obviously breakups are tough, so I can't imagine kind of how that was for them, because dealing with a breakup, especially publicly, it can't be easy.
It is obviously Mental Health Awareness Month, and you are doing this Celebrity Every Step campaign in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month. So tell me all about this.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a mental health journey for many years. It's something I'm really passionate about. And, I think the stigma around mental health and getting, going to therapy and getting treatment, I just remember growing up, I did family therapy in my youth and always was very quiet about it, didn't really share because, you're screwed up or you've got a lot of problems. It's kind of embarrassing. There's a lot of shame. So it's something I, experienced on the other side of it. I had a stigma against it and maybe judge people for it because it just seemed, like I just didn't understand it. So yeah, like as I've gotten older and kind of understood that I've had tons of things that I needed to address, it could be childhood traumas, it could be, relationships, it could be conflict, all sorts of things. Therapy's played a big role in just how I've been able to kind of overcome things in my life and arrive, in relationships and show up for my friends and family and fiance in a more profound way. And yeah, it's something, on my own, the last couple of years, I've shared videos and I've shared kind of updates of, where I'm at with my mental health. And yeah, it's just, I want to just continue to promote people supporting each other. I think the education is getting better and people are being more open-minded. But regardless if you're on a reality show or if you've got a busy job or you've got children or whatever, I think therapy can be incredibly helpful for a lot of people. So I love Mental Health Awareness Month. It's awesome to be able to tell, your story, and the hope is to, inspire some others and maybe help other people figure out if they, want to make that next step.
Definitely. Is that why it's so important for you to speak out about it? Because like you said, for so long, people didn't want to say, oh, I go to therapy, I do this. And now I feel like it's becoming more normal to talk about and people feel more comfortable to talk about. Is that why you wanted to do this, just kind of open the dialogue and make it comfortable to chat about it?
Yeah, I think just, I was inspired by, I relate to a lot of athletes. I played sports, so guys like Michael Phelps, who have been very outspoken. I mean, he's an unbelievable athlete, gold medalist, But to hear from his side, he was struggling at home, in his own mind and in his personal life was kind of just eye-opening. You just think of these athletes and they're like superheroes, and they don't have any chinks in the armor. So guys like Michael Phelps were really inspiring to me, just, hearing him share that. And it just made me more comfortable sharing just kind of what I was dealing with. And I have learned, in the last couple of years, just how many people it has touched. And if I can help one person, place a phone call to go to a therapist, like that's unbelievable. And that's what it's all about. But yeah, like you said, normalize it. I think people go to the gym and work out to be in shape for their bodies, but then, you should go to the gym for your mind. And I think that's really what I want to continue to promote, just because it's worked for me. And I'd like to think it could work for other people too.
So important. It really is. I mean, how did this season in particular affect your mental health? And when you feel like you're struggling, what kind of tools do you use to kind of push past that?
I think every season of the show has been hard, at times. If you go all the way back to seasons 1 through 5, I mean, yeah, like I had a lot of things that were difficult, and, I probably, dealt with it way differently in those early seasons, whether it was drinking or partying. But yeah, I think this past year was, being in a relationship, I had a lot of support from Lindsay, which was amazing. But working out is a huge help. Taking a break, which you've seen sometimes I've done, but I've even learned since last summer, just, how to really do what's best for me, but also not run away completely, and come back, after taking a break. It's still a constant work in progress, but, I do feel supported by, several people. And, I think sometimes on the weekends, things can get a little crazy, but, I do, I have my therapy usually Monday or Tuesday mornings after the weekend.
Sure.
Which is helpful. But yeah, I think working out, meditating, you've seen me meditate on the show before. Those are tools that have just been really helpful. And I think when you combine therapy, working out, meditation, going for long walks, doing things for yourself, in the morning, just staying grounded, I always have to do those things to kind of remind myself what I need to do to really show up, in a better way. Definitely. So I urge anybody, like I said, regardless of being on Bravo or not, therapy has been helpful for a lot of people. So yeah, I feel very lucky to be able to kind of touch on it a little bit. I mean, I know summer is supposed to be fun and some of the lighthearted stuff, but it's been awesome to be able to kind of shed a little light on, that side of things.
Oh, definitely. Well, Carl, thank you so much. I always enjoy chatting with you.
Thank you.
Memorial Day weekend, great summer, and looking forward to all those wedding plannings that you have going on.
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, I think the reunion, I think the only thing I'll say outside of the Mental Health Awareness Month is definitely tune in the reunion. Mm-hmm. You'll see, I think, a lot of discussions and understandings and perspectives, but hopefully, some moving forward, which ultimately summer should be fun and we all should try and work through our stuff and come out on top. So I hope we did that, but hopefully you guys tune in and check it out.
For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.